As we go through life, we learn about the many different illnesses that could have a serious effect on our lives or the lives of loved ones. There are many known illnesses out there, such as the flu, Parkinson's disease, PTSD, and HIV. But there are some out there that people aren't aware of that have a major impact on those who possess these rare illnesses. Today we'll be taking a look into depersonalization and sickle cell disease, here on Health Unknown.
Depersonalization can be described as a person experiencing almost like an out-of-body experience. There's a profound detachment from self, the person's self. So it's as if the person is an observer of him or herself. Generally, the causes tend to be from some form of trauma that the person may have experienced, such as childhood neglect, emotional abuse, physical abuse. Could also occur from even witnessing domestic violence, sudden loss of a loved one by death. So generally it is based upon kind of a traumatic event that has occurred with the person. It also can occur when the person is extremely highly stressed.
I think one of the biggest signs that somebody can look for is disassociation. Disassociation meaning like if somebody is ruminating on a thought, so much so that they're disassociating from the reality that exists right in front of them. So a good example is, let's say you're driving on the freeway and you start to think about something, and then you miss the freeway exit that you meant to take, and you go right past it, and then you go past the next one, just because you're so into this thought. That thinking is just kind of overtaking your concept of what is happening right now, the task that you're doing at hand. So if you're reading something, you've read the entire page, or you read the entire 2 pages, and really just you were thinking about what you just read. You weren't really mindful, and you're disassociating and thinking about anything. Just getting away from the now, the present, is definitely a very common sign of depersonalization.
It's a person that's really emotionally or physically numb. That's how some people have described. It's almost like being walking dead. So your body is doing things, but it's like you're not really there. It's not really myself.
And sometimes it can be almost look like a personality type disorder. You have a lot of people who have suffered from trauma or have suffered from pain in the past that haven't made sense of it or haven't processed it, who have used depersonalization as sort of a coping mechanism. So they've gone on in life, and so it looks like depression, it looks like a lot of other things, it looks like anxiety sometimes. It can look like a lot of different things.
When we think of people kind of dissociating, it's, again, it's a response to those memories with trauma where that has occurred. I think as with some of those other dissociative disorders, some of the treatment, such as like psychotherapy, can be beneficial to a person that does have depersonalization. You can use some of the kind of like the cognitive behavioral therapy so that you're processing with that person that experience.
Depersonalization is going to be harmful, because when you have that sort of duality of separation, of like, here's the I and here's the self, and they're not together, then there's this lack of consciousness. There's this lack of sort of this is the moment that I'm in, and I really need to treasure this. I think everybody to an extent uses depersonalization. I think everybody to an extent has incredible sadness within their life that is hard to deal with, and sort of just unconsciously uses depersonalization to be able to cope with those times. And I think a lot of us just get separated from that sense of like the I and the self. And once we really become mindful of it, we can come back to it and say, okay, how do I bring those two together? How can I be conscious of these thoughts that I'm having and give them respect and consideration rather than judgment? In our society, we live in a hyper-judgmental society in America. And if we judge something to be bad, or even if we judge something to be good, we're putting the judgment much more priority than we put the acceptance of the feeling, acceptance of that, and saying, oh, that just exists, and maybe I don't need to judge it. Maybe I just need to know that it's there and be mindful of it. And so going back to like practices on how we can get past that becomes, meditation, yoga, exercise is a great one, or just the understanding that really I need to be conscious right now of how my body is feeling, what is happening within me, and if I get conscious about that, I can understand where these triggers are.
The way that a patient experiences is going to be different for each individual. There are some things that need to occur, though, even before the diagnosis can be given.
The sort of separation between yourself, your body, your feelings, all this stuff, it happens, and it can also be like this, where people are like, I am sick of feeling like myself, or I am sick of being myself. Now, when anybody says, I am sick of being myself, now in that same sentence, you've named two different people, the I and myself, right? And so you're automatically saying, hey, there's already a separation, there's already a depersonalization, right? When anybody, and this is a very common saying that people say, I don't feel like myself. And you're basically telling the world that I and myself are two different entities. And somehow, some way, that same person needs to bring those two together. Right?
Sickle cell disease affects over 100,000 African Americans in the United States, and it's a disease of the red blood cells. Instead of their red blood cells being normal shape, round, flowing through the blood vessels easily, they're crescent shape, sticky, hard, and they go through the blood vessels and easily get stuck into the small arteries, causing excruciating pain, it damages the organs, and can even cause death. Blood flows everywhere throughout your body, so it can affect every organ in your body, from your brain down to your hips, your knees, your ankles. We have a lot of patients that have experienced strokes at an early age, so you can think you usually don't hear about strokes until people are in their 50s, 60s. So we have young people that have strokes as young as 6 or 7, but we don't see them. So the ones that are having strokes, they have to be on blood transfusions mostly for the rest of their life to prevent them from having another stroke. Over 100,000 African Americans are living with sickle cell. I can't say exactly how many are born each year with sickle cell, but they do have mandatory newborn screening. So every baby that's born since 1987 are tested to see if they have sickle cell disease. It's an inherited disease, so you get a gene from the mother and a gene from the father. The best way to prevent sickle cell is the kids knowing who their mates are. So say, you know, you have trait. So you need to know if whoever you get with, if they have trait or if they have the disease, because then that's how it's passed on. So it's important, trait education. Knowing what your trait status is very important. And that could stop the disease. But the people that have the disease already, then no, there's no way of. We have something coming up June 9th. We're doing Cycle for Sickle Cell. It's a ride through the, from St. Marcus Church up to Milwaukee Harley. It's a motorcycle ride. We have a police escort. We do it in conjunction with the Milwaukee Brotherhood of Firefighters. We're also doing a walk in conjunction with it. So it's a walk from the fire station on Appleton up to Milwaukee Harley. So the walkers are going to walk first, and then the cycles are going to come in, and then the walkers are going to wave the cycles in. And then we're going to have a health fair there. We'll have a sickle cell booth bringing awareness about sickle cell. And then we'll have other health information, music, and vendors. So it'll be a nice health fair. We're having a blood drive, which blood drive is very important because African Americans do better with African American blood. And a lot of our patients, like I said, are on blood transfusions, and we need more African Americans to donate. So we're having a blood drive and looking for 46 blood donors, if possible.